Hi, my name is Mike Koenigs, and you're here either through a referral, maybe you saw some of my content online, but either way, you're a business owner and you're looking for a way to get noticed and get found more effectively, or also to share your message, but also to improve or increase your game, make a larger offer, and attract a higher quality client. That's what this is about. I'm going to share with you some case studies, some people that I've worked with. My goal is that you'll resonate with one or more of these stories, but also have one thing in common with all these people, which is you want higher quality people to find you and walk up to you and say, I already know, I want to work with you. How do we begin? That to me is the equivalent of I love you in business language. So now you might be here because you saw some of my videos on YouTube. Maybe one of my articles in Entrepreneur Magazine or Forbes Magazine, or you've heard of some of my celebrity clients that I've worked with over the years, like Tony Robbins, for example. And if you haven't already seen it, there's a sizzle reel where he introduces me, and you can check that out. It's on my YouTube page and on my website. Maybe it was Jordan Belfort, the podcast that I did with him, or some of my prior work. J.J. Virgin, New York Times bestselling author. Ty Lopez, Dave Asprey from Bulletproof Coffee, or maybe Jack Canfield. And I'm sharing all these with you, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that content marketing works. It elevates you. It will enable you to reach more people more effectively, but also to automate the marketing so you're not telling the same old story over and over again. Now, here's one of my podcasts, Capability Amplifier with Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. The other one is with my good friend Gay Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap. If you haven't read that book, it is absolutely fantastic. But let's get on and talk about you. I'm going to share with you some case studies. My guess is I'll answer all your questions, and then I'll answer that question, how do we work together? That's ultimately the end goal here is for you to decide if we resonate and we gel, okay? So first of all, I'll begin with one of my favorite stories. This is a guy, his name's Justin Donald. We met in Fiji, and I was really impressed with him because I found out that he had gone from having a job to building a net worth that exceeded 8 figures in about 4 years. I was blown away with that, and I'm asking him all sorts of how questions. How'd you do that? How'd you do it? And I found out he was like this unconsciously competent guy, and I said, do you want to write a book? Do you speak? And he's like, I don't have any of that stuff, but I'd like to. So he went from no website, no presence, no platform at all, and here's the story. So I had him show up, and we work together and do something called Vision Day. That's where you and I spend 2 to 3 days together, either with or without your team, extract and pull your best knowledge out of you and craft a platform from that. Or if you already have a platform, extend it. So we pulled the information out, gathered it, and we ended up coming up with a unique idea, something that we trademarked called Lifestyle Investor and Lifestyle Investing. We bought the domain and immediately brought Justin into my studio that I'm in right now. We either do this remotely or in person. In this case, we were in person. It was pre-pandemic, but we sat down and I interviewed him for an Entrepreneur Magazine article. So now if you search for Justin Donald, you find Justin Donald is the investment world's new Warren Buffett. Here's the interview. But minutes before we began the interview, I pulled from him the 10 commandments of lifestyle investing. We literally invented that minutes before we started shooting, but that became the center point of our article, which also became the core of what became his book, The Lifestyle Investor. The subtitle we came up with is The 10 Commandments of Cash Flow Investing for Passive Income and Financial Freedom. Now, the truth of the matter is we just started working on this stuff, pulling it out of him, and the book has been an evolution beyond the 2 to 3 days we started working together, okay? And I'll get to a couple more details. But we also crafted a $250,000 offer. Now, instead of me telling you about that, I'm going to have Justin tell his story. And when I come back, I'll show you what has happened since we made this recording. So this is Justin Donald.
I started investing because I didn't want to have a job. I wanted financial freedom and I wanted to have passive income. I've got a family, I've got a young daughter, and I want to be able to spend time with them. And one thing I know is that I love to teach, and I love to learn, and I love to share. And I met Mike in Fiji on a trip, and we just really hit it off. And he was very certain that he could take the concepts that I had in my head and create an actual program from them. So immediately upon meeting, in 2 days with his team, we were able to create a program and a platform that I was able to unroll. I was able to have a $250,000 offer that was out of my comfort zone originally. And he assured me, no, there is a market for this. And so he was able to extrapolate information from my brain and create content out of it. We created a book from it. In fact, the book is almost done. We created the brand, The Lifestyle Investor, and we trademarked it. We then registered for that domain. And we continued working on different avenues of speeches and things. I've had a lot of people reach out to see if I can speak or to ask to interview me on a podcast. And it's just really been exciting. And I can tell you, after last week onboarding 2 clients that each enrolled for $250,000 into my VIP coaching program, I'm a huge believer, and it's a huge success story. In fact, one of those people is from Mike's own network. He just has a massive network of people. Anyway, Mike is a superpower accelerator.
All right. Well, it's a great story, obviously. That's why I shared it with you. But there's something even more important that wound up happening here. So in addition to crafting the $250,000 offer where Justin works with someone and taking this article, Justin got like 25 leads 24 hours after this article was published. And we ended up working with him to build a website. There's the book you can see on the website and everything that goes along with it. But in a moment, you'll see that when we click, there's also something else we created, which was a Mastermind Program. The Mastermind Program sells for, and it started out, $35,000. We gave and designed the entire framework for this. So again, Justin had no idea what he wanted to do with it or how it would go about happening. And I also gave him the script so he could start having conversations and enrolling with them. Here's the net. What we built is a 7-figure business in under a year with Justin, with nothing, and it requires no extra people to fulfill. And my suspicion is this can be a $3 to $4 million a year business with no moving parts, almost no employees, or just pure contractors. And that's an example of elegance and beauty. But more importantly, here's the biggest takeaway from this whole thing through Justin's lens. We created a new identity for him, which was the lifestyle investor. That didn't exist before. And we either do that for business brands or individual brands. You literally walk out of here after 2 to 3 days, a different human being with a different perception of self. And a huge part of any business and any identity, whether it's the DNA of the founder, the owner, or the organization, is coming up with a new identity. Okay, so I'll get into more of that when we end up chatting, but here's a quick summary with Justin. 48 hours, we came up with a platform, the book, the speech, the podcast, the $50,000 and $250,000 offer, and the article. And then after that, as soon as the article was published, he started getting leads. But even before that, he was able to go out and start having conversations with people based on that new identity and enroll them in this new program. 2 people at $250 in a week. And then over a period of about a month, he enrolled around 30 or so people into his mastermind, and the price tag is $35,000. You can do the math from there, okay? So let me give you another example. This one turns out is in the financial space as well. Guy's name is Charlie Epstein. I met him at an event. And the story with Charlie is he walked up to me, and he had known who I was through just some content and also my podcast. And he said, we should work together. And I said, well, tell me about you. And it turned out Charlie's a very successful guy. He's been in the 401k financial service industry. He's written some books. And we started brainstorming and nothing really gelled. And then I found out that he had some experience as a amateur comedian, and he had acted at one point. And he also had a one-man show that almost got underway off Broadway. And I probed a little bit more, and I said, I might have an idea. Let me make some calls. So I made some calls. I came back to him with what I thought was an offer he couldn't refuse. I turned it into a little bit of a game, and I said, all right, Charlie, I have an idea. You got 1 minute to make up your mind. He goes, pitch me. And I said, well, I made a call. I found 3 professional comedians. They're interested in doing a television style workshop, and we'll design a one-man show based upon your life, the myths about money, and everything you're already doing. It'll be the most unique. And he goes, don't even go any further. I'm in. So the whole idea is this one-man show becomes a very unique way that leverages his passions, his superpowers, his greatest skills to find next generation leads and also extend his brand. Well, in addition to all this, I'm going to just show you some pictures here because I think a picture tells 1,000 stories, however that goes. All right, so here it is. That's Charlie. Looks a little bit like Larry David. And he came in. That's our team. One of the people is virtual. And one of the things that we do is you can work either virtually with us from anywhere in the world. We've got clients in Singapore and India and Canada, Australia, the United States, obviously. And if you want to, you can come out and spend time. I have a place on the beach in La Jolla, California. You stay there with you and a business partner or spouse, and that's where we do your reinvention, and we build your brand and build your new identity and a product and a service that really lights you up. This is my number one, Marisa Brassfield. That's Charlie, obviously. And let me explain what wound up happening here. So that's Charlie pontificating away, and we capture all that wisdom, all that knowledge, and his core story, and start assembling this. And at first, it's a giant mess. It's just like, imagine your brain splattered all over a bunch of walls. That's one of our comedians who's working remotely. But one of Charlie's core values is to make money funny and make it fun. So we came up with Yield of Dreams. Here I am with Jesse, one of the comedians, performing what we came up with in just 2 days, okay? Went through all the principles, performed the outline of the content, and we really drafted a full play. That became Yield of Dreams, Paychecks for Life. There's Charlie. I also brought in Charlie, just like Justin, and we did an interview that day, which ended up getting published in Entrepreneur Magazine based on this new opportunity. Now, this article got picked up and also got syndicated in multiple locations. Justin's did as well, so it got picked up in multiple places, including Apple News, which was awesome. But also, this has become an app. And because of the pandemic, of course, we had to rethink things. So Charlie's been taking all this content and creating animated videos, which will become a course as well as the live event and an app. So there's many, many other things going on with Charlie, including a documentary. So we hooked him up with a documentary filmmaker. As Justin said, I've got a massive network of who's to get the hows done. So that's Charlie Epstein and Yield of Dreams. Here's another one. This is dance mogul Misty Lounge. Now, one of the things that she did is when the pandemic hit, well, she figured out a way to keep dance studios in motion. None of her clients ended up going out of business, but we applied and reimagined her as a mogul who can help reinvent any face-to-face business. Turns out that's a multi-$100 billion a year industry if you take into account yoga studios, karate studios, restaurants. So now she's out advising and consulting in that space just because we took and looked at her passion, her vision, and packaged her in a different way. Here's another one. The founder of Oatly started a new beverage company. It's called Good Idea Beverages. So Oatly, by the way, is a multi-$100 million a year business, and there's great things going on. This is Bjorn Oste. We built and created this and crafted this message so Bjorn could go out and talk to other investors, and that's what the intent was. Here's another one. My friend Dmitry Kozlov, who built my website, for example. He's in the personality branding business. So we ended up taking his wisdom and knowledge and crafting an article out of that, something he could go out because he was going to be meeting with Richard Branson and his son on the island. We published this, got it published in time, so he was able to go there with a high degree of celebrity. And by the way, he's doing business with Richard Branson's son. Not a bad deal, right? Here's another one. Former professional poker player, completely reinvented himself as a business advisor and consultant. And shortly after we finished just meeting with him, before the article was even published, he was out meeting with and getting deals. In fact, he closed a 6-figure deal as a result of us crafting his message, crafting his new identity, and an offer that he was able to start having conversations with the day after we met. Okay? And he's got an upcoming book, Zen and the Art of Business and Poker. Pretty good hook, right? Here's another one I'm really proud of. This is Steve Little. He's been in the mergers and acquisitions business for a long time. Met with him. He needed new marketing. He needed to be elevated. And so we took his best principles, crafted a webinar with him, and crafted a whole bunch of resources. So inside of 3 days, completely reimagined and re-engineered him, including this webinar, which we performed in the studio, created a handout and a giveaway based upon his principles, and also worked on several strategies and, in fact, introduced him to some new lead generation partners who are working with him right now. So that's Steve Little, and we're working on an annual basis with him. So if you're wondering right now, all right, this sounds interesting. How do we work together? And again, just to set this up properly, we either work with individuals who want to reinvent themselves or businesses and brands. The key thing is, what you really need is a higher level offer. We like to focus on things that are 3 to 10 times or even higher than anything you've ever done before. One of our clients, formerly a architect, we rebranded him, has $1 million offer right now, and he's based in India. That's Ninad Tipnis. But everyone's a little bit different. But what you really need is, what's the story that goes along with that, that targets your perfect ideal client and causes them to say, I already know I want to work with you. Okay? So this is what it's like to work together. What we do is we can do this either in person or virtually. And it's myself and my team. We do an onboarding session, which takes usually 60 to 90 minutes. That's when we come up with clarity and we focus on who's your audience, what's your business model, what's the message we need to craft, and how are we going to get that word out there. And then we work for 2 to 3 days, either virtually or in person. And then after that's done, we also meet for an integration session for 90 minutes. It's an all-inclusive experience, and that can include content, article writing, interviews, publishing, promotion, media, whatever it is. Everyone is a little bit different. Here's what's important. This will work either in a group situation with your team or alone or with a spouse. We've done it every way imaginable. Okay. Now, we can either do it virtually, and that's 2 to 3 virtual vision days where we reinvent and virtualize. And again, we're crafting offers, the messaging, the packaging, giveaways, videos, and also I open up my network of vendors and relationships to you. In many cases, people will become clients. We have a whole ecosystem. When they're one-on-one, again, everything that you get in option number 2, you and a +1 stay at the beach or condo. If you've got a bigger team, you can do that also in the hotel across. It's the La Jolla Shores Hotel. And you have the in-studio experience, which is 10 minutes from the beach. And in many cases, we've created entire products. We've worked on the book, sales videos, whatever needs to get done so you can walk away and be able to execute and be able also to enroll people immediately, even without all the stuff that's done. And by the way, you're wondering, well, what happens after that? Well, if we know that we want to work together and this feels good to us, we'd have an annual program where we meet quarterly. We do vision days, we meet monthly, and my team and I are available to help elevate you, craft additional offers, get the message out there, and put you in a completely different place. Bottom line is, we are a very, very unique boutique. You won't find anything like the Superpower Accelerator anywhere else in the world, but the biggest and most important thing is we get stuff done fast. Things that you can't imagine and most people can't accomplish in 6 to 12, 18 months, if ever. And you can learn more about me on my website if you want to, but I think the next best step for you is Just apply. All you have to do is head to paidforlife.com/apply or call that number. Someone on my team will follow up, take care of the enrollment process, talk to you about the investment, and we'll get rolling right away. And our goal is to change your life for the better and provide a transformation, not a transaction. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with you and working with you too. Bye-bye.